Movie fucking sucks. Don't watch it. Save your money. Go watch Spider-Man No Way Home.
All right, welcome everyone to the Small Times Movie Podcast. As always, I am Sean Small, joined by Randy, Stelios, and Justin. This week. We're going to be discussing and reviewing The Matrix Resurrections, the latest film in the Matrix, I guess, quadrilogy plus TV or Animatrix project.
Yeah.
We're going to go through our thoughts, spoiler-free right now, and then we'll jump into spoilers when we feel like it's time to get to those. I'm going to kick it off to Mr. Randy, as based on my knowledge, he is the most knowledgeable of the Matrix series between the four of us. I could be wrong. Justin might be that person. But I want to get his thoughts on this movie now that he's seen it, I guess, at least once. I've seen it twice, but let's see what he has to say. Randy.
First of all, I don't have a blue pill, but would you take the red or the green M&M? Trick question. I'm eating both. Yum, yum, yum. Yeah, so easy plot synopsis on this. To start off with. Wait, did you say plot synopsis? Or.
He doesn't even.
I don't think we need a synopsis. Okay. I think, we know the movie is the fourth.
Movie fucking sucks. Don't watch it. Save your money. Go watch Spider-Man No Way Home. It's a fourth entry into the Matrix original trilogy by the Wachowskis. I think that's the politically correct way to acknowledge them. And I am a very big fan of the original trilogy. I will say part 2 and 3 are technically one movie, and if you cut out a lot of the fluff, it's really good. But that doesn't make it a good movie if you have to ignore things. The first one is phenomenal, and this latest one, which actually Justin, Stelios, and I watched together prior to all of us catching COVID.
Undefined.
Yeah, it was like a couple days before. It was like the day before I caught it. Yeah, undefined. Okay.
We didn't all catch COVID from your movie watching event. We all got it separately in different ways. It just happened to be at the same time.
Yeah, and like the day after we watched it. But yeah, the fourth movie is supposed to add to the lore and the characters while bringing a somewhat fresh take to it. Whether or not that was successful is up for debate, and I guess that's what we're here to do today, Sean. That's all I got.
All right.
Yeah.
Stelios?
Okay, look. You guys grew up. Matrix came out, and apparently it changed cinema, right? Because I would have been like 5 years old.
You were 4 years old when that movie came out.
I was 4 when it came out. I was probably around 7 when I saw it on TV, or probably around 8, 9 when they started playing it on TV. I can't remember, but I remember it was on. I had a DVD, like I could see it, and then watch it on TV, like in my head. But basically, it's been a period of time after Matrix 3. From the trailer, you can grasp that Neo is back in the Matrix. And at first, I was really, really excited, and now I'm just like, man, like we're watching this movie together, and I'm jumping up and down, being like, this is goddamn ridiculous. How can you guys keep a straight face? Ask them how like, like I just kept getting up. I couldn't take it. I could not take this movie. Yeah, because it's fucking ridiculous filmmaking from a franchise that you could argue the quality has changed throughout all 3 movies. But there was consistency. For God's sakes, there was some goddamn consistency. All right, there was a vision. There was a reason. Didn't have to. Listen, not every movie's gonna be perfect. That's fine. But there was a reason for it existing. Where this one, I was just like, what's going on? Why bother?
Sean?
Justin?
Oh, Justin? Okay.
Stelios, weren't you the most excited one out of all of us to watch that one, or?
I thought it was going to be a good movie. I was talking about it with Randy a lot. I always thought from the trailer, like, oh, they're going to get super meta with it and super cool. But honestly, like, we got to go around the table, Sean. Like, I can't. If I start, It's not stopping.
All right, we'll stop you right now. Justin, do you have any thoughts on your viewing experience?
Well, the trailers didn't give me much hope. And then, watching it, it was just very apparent pretty early on that, like, oh man, we should have watched Lethal Weapon instead.
Actually,
That's
we were
fair.
going to watch Die Hard with a Vengeance. That's what we were originally going to do.
Yeah, no, they tried too hard with all sorts of weird computer jokes, all the meta jokes. They tried to be self-aware, and I don't know, none of the characters were memorable. I don't know. Yeah, not much good to say about it without talking
enough.
about spoilers.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen the film twice now. Once, just to see it and see if it's going to be any good, and then a second time to refresh or rejog my memory for talking about it with you guys, because once I saw the film, I kind of just blacked it out, I guess, a bit. And it's funny because I actually thought it looked good based on the trailers. I think the song White Rabbit was really cool to include. I was intrigued to see how they go back to the Matrix, knowing that, spoilers here for the third film, but Neo and Trinity died in that movie.
What the
in like
fuck?
the real world. Unlike the real world, I guess, or whatever. So I was sort of intrigued by the whole thing. And going into it, I think within the first voiceover, I was sort of like, oh, this doesn't sound like it's going to be a good thing. And then when it got to things like the action, to me seemed really poorly. Choreography was not there, I guess I want to say. When you go to a Matrix film, you want strong action, you want sort of like musings of like philosophy and whatnot. That sort of was lacking there. I think it had a lot of interesting ideas that it was presenting, but I think a lot of them weren't explored enough. And there's two ways to look at this film. One is it is a hard-nosed sequel to Revolutions, or it's Lana Wachowski. I think she's the only one who did this film. I think her sibling was not involved.
Yes.
Was saying like, Warner Brothers is going to make a sequel no matter what. I'm going to come do it, and I'm going to basically give the middle finger to Warner Brothers and make all these references and make this film almost like a parody of what it could be. Because the end of the film, you think this is going to be the start of a new trilogy, the start of a new HBO Max series. And not to go into spoilers, but it seems like it's not going there. It seems like this is sort of the end.
You know what's funny? I never thought of it that way. I never thought that somebody would have the lack of balls to make this movie bad on purpose by making it a meta movie, which would have normally been kind of cool because, if anything, like the Matrix, it can be that because it's a fantasy based in reality almost.
Yeah.
Right?
Very
clever.
So I think we all
No, that's not
have
clever.
shared our thought.
It's a waste of fucking money
Waste of everyone's
We've all
time.
shared our thoughts on this.
and time.
I
yes.
think we can go into spoilers. I think we can
We
just
have
launch
to.
into it.
We have to.
And-
Spoilers.
Yeah, and I'll just say things like referencing Warner Brothers wanting to make a new Matrix, and this film a video game, was very sort of apt and like, oh, okay, this is sort of like a call on what's happening with sort of franchises and studios now needing to have like that Marvel thing, like that franchise, that Star Wars, that Marvel cinematic universe. So Warner Brothers is going like, well, we got Harry Potter, we got the Matrix, let's try to cash in on these things.
They
And
have
it seems like
Bugs Bunny too. They got Space Jam.
yeah. Well, you
They
have
did
bugs
Space
in this
Jam
film.
2. Space Jam 2.
There's a character in this movie.
yeah.
Our initial focus is actually called Bugs, as in Bugs
Bugs.
Bunny.
Bugs Bunny.
As
She
in the
says
White
it.
Rabbit, yes.
What's her
Yeah.
name? Christina Hedwig, or is it Henwick something else? Jessica Henwick.
She's Jessica Henwick, I believe, from Iron Fist. At least that's where I first saw her.
Henwick is fine. Bugs Bunny is
That's the blue-haired girl, right?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's from Game of Thrones as well. She was one of the 3 daughters of the Sand Vipers.
Oh, that?
I forget.
Really?
Yeah, I think she's one of the girls.
I didn't recognize her. Okay, I have to jump in because I think Sean, you tap on such an interesting idea. Making something for the sake of it just being kind of bad because they were gonna do it anyway, so I'll do my own spin on it. Okay, fine. The thing
Potentially.
could be
It's an idea.
Could
It
be.
could be.
So
And it could be just
somebody
like-
watched this movie and said we're gonna put it in. We're gonna put it in theaters. We're gonna do it. We're gonna send it to the world. So somebody had to see this, and say they liked it, or they were like, it's gonna make us money. Ship it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, they make a clear reference in the film. One annoying character keeps saying, "What is the Matrix? It's bullet time. It's bullet time." And it seems like when the Matrix came out, the original
We're in
Matrix,
spoilers.
that was everyone's takeaway.
You can say the character name.
I don't know his name. He was the
He was
annoying
one
guy.
of the geeks. He was his friend.
He was one of the video game guys who helps
okay.
useless.
helps Thomas hit on Tiffany.
Yeah.
But him saying the Matrix is bullet time seems like back in '99, Matrix comes out and everything becomes bullet time. It's in Scary Movie, whatever, which one I don't know, and it's in TV commercials and it's everywhere, and that becomes the takeaway from the Matrix is this sort of special effect. So very self-referential. I don't know if that was again like the idea that this is going to be screw you everyone, because in a lot of ways it does feel like a sequel. It's just it's kind of a mess.
Okay, wait. Can we talk about what we liked about this movie?
Yeah.
Okay, Sean, go first, please.
I
Go
really
first.
liked the Neo Eternity stuff. I felt their connection, their scenes, that sort of like that romance. I think worked for me. Their scenes together in the coffee shop, and that sort of that to me worked. I think a lot. I liked a lot of the actors. I think Yaya, I think is Matina's name. I thought he was great as sort of like this new Morpheus for some reason.
Yep.
I liked that stuff, but everything else, the action was bad. Bringing back Agent Smith,
Terrible
I
idea.
thought was poorly done. I think, much as I love Jada Pinkett Smith, I thought that character should have been Morpheus. I thought that should have been him now coming to terms with the relationship, the machines and the humans living together, and then Neo coming back and what that means. I felt that was sort of a miss, and having like the new Morpheus interact with him could have been interesting. I feel like that didn't work for me. But I'm already into negatives. I went from positives to negatives very seamlessly.
Says
Someone
a lot
else
about
take
this
this.
film. That says a lot about it.
Yeah.
Justin, want to hear your take.
God, there's no proper positive part, I thought. It did go into a couple, it touched on a few interesting ideas that could have been really good if they actually followed through on them. Like the Civil War of the Machines, that would have been a very cool
Huge.
thing to go deeper on.
Huge thing.
Yeah.
Who cares?
A little bit more world building in the Matrix and the Matrix itself.
Yeah.
It just kind of seemed very half-assed in that kind of a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'll just
maybe
jump in.
like going into that meta side of things with the studio was going to make it one way or another, and I mean pretty early on when we were watching the movie, I was saying it's like the big thing I was saying was it's pretty clear only one Wachowski worked on this movie, and I think that's because one of them said hell no, I'm not doing this, and the other one said let me be the one to kill my baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it, actually. It's like, no. I'll be the one who does it.
Oh my god.
What's cool is that they introduced some new concepts. One being the fact that you don't need a phone to get into the Matrix, which seems bizarre considering everyone would have cell phones now and you would need a landline. But the idea that mirrors was the way you'd enter the Matrix, which I thought was kind of an interesting idea. You know, the play on mirrors and like a selfie culture and whatnot, and recording yourself.
Were the mirrors?
Like-
I was a little confused. Were the mirrors only for someone breaking out of the Matrix, or was it from anyone jacking in or jacking out?
I thought it was getting out, but it was very confusing because how these mirrors were connected to, like, I guess, landlines, or how you connected to the internet. Because in the original film, like phone lines, like landlines back in the day were how you got to the internet, so it made sense. And these mirrors, it's like a cool idea, but then how does a mirror connect electronically, or however you want to? I don't know.
I think they're
in
loosely
the
trying to
first
connect-
Matrix, when Neo touches the mirror and the mirror kind of envelops him, it runs a trace program. Is how they find him in the birthing chamber.
Yes.
So it didn't really have anything to do with entering or exiting the Matrix. Now, in this movie, it's just a replay on awakening Neo from his slumber once again. we were talking about positives, and even though, okay, there will be a negative, but I actually enjoyed the first half an hour of this movie. I thought it was
You
just
didn't seem
strong.
like it.
I was
did
kind of
not
curious
appear to like it
because
very much.
when you're watching a movie, you want to see something different, and when you're showing us a bunch of scenes from all three previous movies, okay, I feel a little cheated. Yeah, I
There
do.
were three of us watching this film together. One person was jumping out of their seat, hands in the air, or hands on their head, hands in the air.
Yeah, because I couldn't believe what I was seeing. But again,
It's not Justin or myself.
I couldn't believe
If
it.
Sean wasn't with us, I guess you can narrow
No.
it down. So you can figure
Fair
out
enough.
who it was.
Listen. Okay, this movie is backwards. However, I do like the idea of we're picking up a little bit of time after. We're seeing how Neo's again trapped in the Matrix, and I didn't think it was a bad idea. See, I thought instead of making this whole Matrix as a game, I thought they were going to be like the original 3 movies are made into 3 movies in the Matrix. And he's an actor, and Agent Smith is really his agent. That's what I thought they were doing with this, and then as I'm watching, I'm like, they're not.
I don't think that would have helped its case.
I think it just would have been more interesting. It's still meta, whatever. It's just, I think this movie fails on one fundamental thing: justifying its own existence.
Only one?
Forget the rest. Whatever. I've seen bad action in other movies. Also, fun fact: Trinity's husband in this movie was the guy who directed John Wick.
Yeah.
A much, much, much better series.
He was also Keanu Reeves' stunt double in the original Matrix movies.
Yep.
I did not know that.
So that's like an extra layer of meta there.
He's Chad.
Chad Thundercock.
Chad.
Thundercock. I always feel like anyone named Chad needs the last name Thundercock. It just fits.
On the pro side, the machine world building, the Civil War, seeing the harmonization of some machines with humans, I think was the only thing that was good about this film. Nairobi? I can't remember. Yeah,
Niobe.
Niobe, correct. Jada Pinkett Smith's character, who you play in, I believe, Enter the Matrix. If you guys ever played that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's like royally pissed with Neo this entire movie. And I thought about it a few days later, and I was like, wait, wasn't Will Smith supposed to be Neo originally? And you know,
Yeah.
they've had that whole like
Oh,
falling
yeah.
out with their relationship in real life. Was she projecting onto Neo as if he was Will? I mean, if Will had been cast and this continued, like, what was that? Do you guys remember she like slept with her son's friend and she called it? She used some word.
This
say
is
that-
way off topic.
I know, but so is the whole fucking movie. This is about as relevant as the whole movie. That's what I'm saying. The movie's
What
pointless.
are you talking about?
But yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith's character was annoying as hell. Couldn't stand her.
How can you be mad at
Actually,
someone
I don't
as
think I
well?
could stand- What's that?
It's the other thing was like her being mad at Neo because he was trapped in the Matrix again. It's like, well, what can he do about that if he's trapped and
he was
doesn't
going to
know?
cause trouble. And she was like,
Oh,
we've
yeah,
had
yeah.
60 years of peace because of you.
Yeah.
Now you're back to ruin shit because you want to get laid? Like, but that was it.
Yeah.
He's just... Neil wanted some pootie tang, so he's like, I gotta go rescue my girlfriend. And everyone's like, don't rescue your girlfriend, right? Because there are still humans that, if they want to be freed, they're allowed to be. But Neil Patrick Harris redid the... See, okay, this is... my head hurts. So after Matrix 3, there was supposed to be peace, right? And humans who wanted to leave the Matrix would be allowed to leave. And Agent Smith was gone, and that was the deal. Come Matrix 4, Smith is still alive, somehow, unexplained.
Different Smith.
Completely unexplained.
It's the guy from
What's that?
friggin' Hamilton.
I mean, it was a
different
completely
actor.
different Smith, yeah, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Agent Smith's
Same
there.
character though.
People are trapped in the Matrix again. It's the same shit. Neo's like, what? It's like, I died for nothing? And then you guys brought me back by life? I gotta go rescue Trinity! Like, whoa. No! It's weird. And yeah, Niobe, Jada Pinkett Smith is like, dude, you're just gonna, like, cause a war again. It's like, I don't want this. I don't want any of this. Like, don't go back into the Matrix. Just, like, chill the hell out. Also, how are you still so young?
He remade his body. God. And then there's that whole addition of Sean. What do you think of the plot device of Neo and Trinity's connection powering the entire Matrix or the machines?
Oh yeah, that huge
I mean,
bombshell.
it's interesting because, I mean, I rewatched, I think, Reloaded and Revolutions and the original before I watched this new one. So my recollection is that I think 6 times prior, the Matrix has been rebooted, and a lot of it is based around, I guess, Trinity and Neo. I guess I don't recall exactly.
No.
So they're okay. It's not. Then that's different. I don't know, because it seems like they had to do it that way because otherwise, if Neo could find Trinity in the Matrix and just bone her then everything is good. But the fact that the analyst wouldn't allow that, the idea was keeping them apart was sort of powering the Matrix as sort of yearning. So the only way they can get together would be in the real world, which is where you have your conflict and what you're up against. So that sort of thing felt like, okay, like, I don't know if cart before the horse here, like whether they wanted to keep this sort of love as a thing and then realized they couldn't do it within the Matrix, so created this sort of obstacle, or it was all sort of set up from game one. But I don't know. It's tricky because when watching the film, I was like, what is the purpose of this? The original trilogy, for all its warts, has sort of like a through line. Like, we're going to introduce you to the Matrix, we're going to tell you about it, and we're going to have sort of this epic battle to end it, to sort of like save humanity and some lame
once and for all
fourth battle with Smith, which is very redundant. And this film comes out and you go, what is the new thing? You know, should it have been a remake? Should it have been an HBO Max series? This is all easy to say after the fact, but what was the purpose of this film seems like a happy ending for Trinity and Neo seemed like the main purpose, because the original film, they they die. So in this film, it's like, we'll give you a happy ending. We'll win. We'll now rule over the Matrix and everything. The analyst is run out of town. By the end, it seems Trinity can now fly. She's now, I guess, the one, or has the powers of the one in the situation. So I don't know. I don't know what to think. I've seen it twice, and it hurts.
When you said you saw it twice, I thought you were going to say because you liked it, and I'm glad I can continue doing these podcasts.
No, and, I mean, there are people who like this film. Like, it's not getting like the worst reviews. It's I'm on Letterboxd, and a lot of people are giving it solid reviews and stuff like that. So I wonder, is it people who just like it? Is it people who... There's always that thing I did with like Phantom Menace, where like I first saw it and like I wanted to like it, so I forced myself to think it was good. And maybe there's people who think it's good for the satire and the bizarreness of it all. I don't know.
I think this movie will gain a lot more appreciation over time, but not right now. I think for the vast majority, listen, you like it. I think the action is weak. I think the characters are weaker than they should have been. Keanu Reeves is an amazing actor. He has so much range. And you barely
that
use
was
them.
Not said of him during the original trilogy, just so you know.
Fine,
critique
but
of
we're not
Keanu's
talking
acting
about
back
Keanu
in the day.
then. We're talking about him now. And an interesting
He's done
thing, so
better.
if you're watching the original Matrix movies, as he gets into Matrix 3, he's more machine-like. In Matrix 1, he's the most human. And as he becomes more of the one, he actually does lose a lot of that personality until he
No,
dies.
if anything, he becomes more human because you see him break out of the shell, fall in love, like socialize more. We actually see him with other people, whereas in the original, he
Watch
didn't have anyone.
those
He's
movies
actually-
again, and then say that to my face.
I've
Watch
watched
them again.
a lot. I think you're looking at his poor performance as an actor back in the day.
It's the only explanation. They replaced him with a robot.
No, Neo is very much becoming more human. He falls in love. What more? That's the whole point. Like, it's love.
Love and
is such a
purpose are the
human
two
emotion.
words throughout all those movies that
Yes,
they
but
kept.
love
Purpose,
is something
love,
that
purpose,
machines
love.
can never understand. Hence why, Sean, you said like the purpose of the original was that like the love between like the 6 iterations of the Matrix involving Neo and Trinity's love. When I said no, what I meant was in the 6 previous or in the 5 previous iterations of the Matrix, whenever the one has been found or created, there has been a problem with the Matrix. And what happens is, as the machines are descending upon Zion, the one has 2 options. He can try to help them, or he can go to the source and reset the Matrix. Therefore, giving the machines kind of
Yes.
a breath so they can go back. And basically, once that he resets it, I think Zion gets destroyed. Either way, in this case, Zion gets destroyed. He resets the Matrix. He can pick several people to come out with him, and then he gets to rebuild Zion from there. And the process repeats. But what the architect tells him is that in this iteration, with Neo in particular as the one, what's been different is that he has been experienced the emotion of love, not seen by other the ones. And at that current moment when he was supposed to, with the Keymaster, go and the Keymaker, go and reset the Matrix at the source, Trinity is currently in free fall, about to die. And Neo remember when you said like it's the conclusion, the ending. What's different, or the story worth telling, is that Neo, instead of resetting the Matrix at the source like all previous iterations of the one, he chooses to go after love and protect Trinity, and no one knows what will happen at that point, leading into the Matrix Revolutions, where he decides to make peace with the machines.
So in that instance, in that sort of new anomaly in the Matrix, that kind of can make sense, I guess, for this film, saying like, oh, that sort of thing disrupted things, we can harness it, we can explore it potentially as like the reason why the love thing is the thing. What I'm curious from all of you is, knowing this film exists and how it ends, where would you want the Matrix series to go next? Would you want more content from this? Would you want it to be remade? 'Cause I feel like it's a franchise, even though it's not doing great, Omicron and whatnot, but I think it did well on HBO Max.
This is a fucking garbage
exactly.
bin, Sean. This is where the Matrix needs to fucking go. That's it.
I don't know. For all its its failures, I think it's a franchise that can continue in some capacity. I don't see Warner Brothers going like, well, let's throw this away.
If you're gonna continue, go further into the future.
Got 10 minutes left.
Forget these people, and have more. Do something again completely different. How about another side of the planet? Like what's going on with a different version of the Matrix with a different culture? Because very much like the original first 3 Matrix movies were at the turn of the century, right? Just before Y2K timing.
Yeah.
That was the iteration. Now we're in a little bit more of a modern Matrix, right? A little bit more of the hipster craze, small little coffee, beanies, shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so if you want to try something different, whatever. I think the Matrix still has potential. Get some of the guys who did The Raid, that movie, The Raid, that action movie, put them in the Matrix. It'd be great.
Justin, what do you think?
Yeah, I guess when the Matrix first came out, the internet was like new and not fully understood by the vast majority of people. I mean, most people didn't even have computers in their homes back in, was it 98, 99? Yeah. I don't know, if you're gonna like redo it, it's gonna have to be a total fresh from the start, or either pick up at the Machine War, or as Stelio said, go way into the future, completely new cast, new crew. Don't bring back legacy characters for nostalgia's sake.
My issue with all that is the trilogy, the original trilogy, was set to show that this has happened 5 times previously. This is the 6th time. So when you're telling a story, you're only supposed to tell the story worth telling. And the original Matrix trilogy was the story of how the Matrix ends, or what previously, like the war, the battle between humans and machines, reaching some sort of position of stability. This movie tries to erase some of that. It shows a little bit of evolution,
harmonization,
of the machine, but then it's like nothing really did change. Okay, so you got a few extra players on the team, but the battle's still going. So it was all for nothing. So then why did we tell that story previously? This should be the first story in that. And so you're shitting on everything that came before, because you're saying, oh, okay, well, there's more stories to tell in a story that was supposed to be a conclusion. If anything, I would like to see prequels to see what things were like before. Maybe the first time this happened. And what
Wouldn't
they
that
could
be?
have done. What's that?
Oh, I was gonna say, didn't the Animatrix sort of address some of that sort of prequel?
It did during
lore?
one of the anthologies, yeah. a little bit.
No,
but
not
the
Animatrix
Matrix.
addresses how the machine human war began, but never the first iteration of the Matrix, because the Animatrix came out before that was not spoiler, the twist in the Matrix Reloaded.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I actually own the Animatrix and all 3 Matrix movies on DVD, original copies from when they first came out.
Nice.
Yeah, because I was obsessed.
I feel like there's just a lot of, like, the reason why I was jumping out of my seat is because they started playing clips of the original 3 movies, and that's when I was like, something's very off here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I assume
That can work. That has. If anyone's watched Cobra Kai here,
yeah.
using original content like that can work really well. But here,
Sparingly.
just
When a character is self-aware to the point of mediocrity or a parody, I think is the issue with this one, because as Keanu is trying to remember, because they did it in Cobra Kai, the characters are currently reflecting on their present but also their past, whereas in this movie it's just it's a flash. Oh, Neo's mouth is being fused together, right? And he sees it in Agent Smith again, and it's like, oh my god, I remember this, but I can't remember why it's important. It's like you're just showing us for the sake of showing, because it's the memorberry thing. Remember this from Matrix 1? Remember this from Matrix 2? Remember that? No, like, yeah, we remember. No big deal. Right? So what's the point of it all? That was my question throughout this entire
Justin, what's the
movie.
point? What's the point, Justin?
Of this one? I don't know.
I can get behind Neo and Trinity getting together properly, right? Because they both did die, right? Self-sacrificing for the entire human race as per the Matrix lore. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with giving Trinity some powers. Why not? She was already a badass character. I don't even think she needed the powers. I really don't.
Well, was there any consequence of them pulling her out, though? Because it's like, oh, we got her out of the Matrix, and now
That
it's
entire
happily
scene
ever
I
after.
didn't understand. Because they had to
Like-
hook up Jessica Henwick to mirror Trinity's brainwave. Sean, you saw it twice. Why did they hook her up?
I think they just needed to give Bugs something to do in another part of the movie.
Yeah.
Because once she sort of freed Morpheus and Neo, her character didn't have a lot to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was sort of like let's make this more complicated than it needs to be. You know, let's make taking her out of here a hassle. You
Mhm.
know,
Give it some stakes.
it's like like bring it in the Keymaster,
Some
whatever his name was,
well-done
the second
stakes.
one.
Is this movie
Yeah.
better
charcoal
than A Force
stakes.
Awakens, Last Jedi, or worse?
Ooh.
Oh, so worse.
Oh, worse than The Force Awakens for sure.
What about Last Jedi,
Yeah.
though?
You may not like the
Worse.
sequel trilogy for Star Wars, but those are, for the most part, well-made films.
Yeah.
I agree.
Like
I definitely agree with you, Sean. 100%.
like those movies have your standard hero plot. You know, it works. You may not like what they do. You might find it too reminiscent of A New Hope. You might find Last Jedi has its own problems. But I'd rather watch those every day for the rest of my life than have to put on this film.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Agreed.
That's to say a lot because I haven't even
Yeah.
watched the 3rd Star Wars or the 9th whatever fucking last one with
Watching
Episode 9.
Daisy, Mary Sue.
watching The Matrix Resurrections is like watching somebody beat me with a copy of The Rise of Skywalker.
I'd
like a
rather
poster of
watch
it.
that. No offense.
Yeah,
That's
it.
what
Like,
it feels
is
like.
that
I
on
don't know
vi-
why.
Is that on video? Can we get that?
Yeah, we'll film it this week.
You want to hurt me? Why?
It's Justin beating Stelios with the Rise of Skywalker on.
Everyone gets a turn. That's it. Everyone can beat me up one time. That's it.
It'll be attached to the end of a stick. So final conclusion: watch it. Don't watch it. I don't know.
It's a bad. It's a
Good,
bad.
Bad.
It's a bad
Bad,
poopy
bad.
movie.
Bad
Poor
poopy
taste in my
movie.
mouth.
Yeah.
Bad
Yeah.
poopy movie.
Should have stayed dead. Type thing.
Cool.
We didn't
Alright.
even talk about Neil Patrick Harris.
Do we,
We
need to?
barely talked.
We got 2 minutes left.
I
They
liked
could
him
have
in it,
made
by the
something
way, you know.
interesting.
I liked them.
What's that?
I liked what they did with him.
What's that, Justin?
They could have made something interesting if only they cared to write it properly.
Oh, with the whole movie, or with Neil?
or even with his character, like that would have been
Yeah.
a very interesting story to revolve around that alone, and just
How
turn
he
it into a
can
massive
control
mind
Neo
fuck.
with bullet time makes no sense in my mind.
And how come Agent Smith wasn't affected by it? How come Agent Smith is alive? The whole point of the third movie was killing Smith,
Yes, it was.
freeing them.
Yeah.
Ah.
Where was the Oracle? Where was the architect?
Oh, the Oracle was
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they never showed the Oracle. No.
Yeah, she was the one with the red glasses.
Yeah.
Or was
Yeah.
that the little girl who grew up and who was trying to
No, that was the little girl, yeah, from Revolution.
Revolution.
Limbo?
Yeah.
On Mobile Avenue? Yeah, whatever. Stupid.
Yes.
It's Limbo. Yeah. Man. I think we're
Still a better movie than The Green Knight.
Oh man. Don't get me started on that. All right, that's everything for today. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Oh,
Just look
God,
up
I
here,
can't.
so looking at my webcam.
I can't. Ugh.
Yeah, don't watch The Matrix Revolutions if you haven't already. Watch Spider-Man: No Way Home. That's my personal recommendation.
Resurrections. Resurrections.
What did I say?
Revolutions.
What did I call it?
Revolutions.
I meant Resurrections. Revolutions.
Don't even. Just watch the first movie.
Yeah.
Just watch the first one.
Yeah,
This one's great.
followed by Spider-Man: No Way Home. Any last thoughts?
I'm done.
I like the funniness of the ending where Neo and Trinity were needed together to be powerful, and then the movie was bad because only one of the writers worked on it instead of both.
Like that's a good
That's-
place
that's-
to end it.
That's still better than the Catrix.
Yeah.
Oh my god! I forgot.